Hey friends, I wrote a book. We now have been launched for 1 week and 1 day. I am blown away by what this community has done to really promote this book and come behind the Power Project book. If you are tuning in for the first time, maybe this is the first time you have heard about this book, but it is the last 3 years of my purpose journey that I have detailed into a book with tangible steps that walk the reader through discovering their own purpose journey as well. This community has just built up the hype around this book so well. You guys have shared about it on social media. You've told your friends about it. And thanks to you, we hit in the first 24 hours best international bestseller, and we hit #1 new release on Amazon. So thank you guys so much for all of the love. But while we're celebrating the success of that, I also needed to let you in on what it looked like leading up to the launch of this book, because I really experienced some overwhelming limiting beliefs about this book. And I struggled with it. And I've spoken with other authors and I've learned that this is a true thing. This is real. When you go and you write all of your authentic, vulnerable moments into a book to share with the world, you don't think about releasing it to the world. When I was writing the book, I really felt like I was writing it for people that I didn't know, for strangers on the internet, for followers on Instagram, followers on Facebook. I didn't think about writing it and people that know me reading the book, and people that might say that they don't like it, or that they don't believe that it speaks to the mission of the platform. Or the biggest, scariest thought of all was, what if I have not written the book that God wanted me to write? What if I got it twisted? Because you see, I am a 3 on the Enneagram. So I tend to, if you guys don't know about the Enneagram, it's a personality typing system. I want to make people happy. I want to perform. And even that applies to God. I want to perform for him. I want to make him happy. And all I could think was, he might be disappointed with this book, or someone in my family might be disappointed with this book, or someone that I maybe don't get along with well is going to have this tool in their hands. And so I let these limiting beliefs fester in my mind, and I really let it hold me back from actually moving forward. In all honesty, in true transparency, I could have released the book so much earlier than I did, but I combed over every single minute detail, not because I was really afraid of it flopping, because I can deal with it. I can say that I wrote a book, even if it's not great at this point, but just because I was afraid of not following God's will with this book and not putting the words in there that he would have me include to reach the people that he would have me reach. And so I had to get really, really honest with myself about these limiting beliefs, about what was holding me back from publishing this book. So it is out into the world now. It was released on June 30th, and it has been beautiful. And I'm so grateful that I didn't let those limiting beliefs or the enemy's lies hold me back, which is exactly why I wanted to do this 2-part live event on Facebook and Zoom for the community to show up and hear from my friends on the panel about overcoming limiting beliefs. Last week, you guys heard from my friends Tamra, Andress, Ashton, Cantou, Demi Austin Thomas, Alice Edgerton, and they all shared their own personal stories about overcoming those limiting beliefs. They shared their stories about having to step out in faith and push fear to the side in order to follow that call on their hearts, the call that God had placed on them. And so I wanted to bring you guys, while we heard all of their stories last week, we also fielded some questions from our audience, and we brought it to the table and let each of the panelists address those subjects. And my hope and my intention for both last week and this week's episode is that you can see that every single one of us, myself included, are typical everyday women that have done something that may look fearless to you, but in fact, there was tons of fear surrounding what it was we did. We just chose to step out in faith. So I hope that you enjoy the conversation that we have today, and I hope that you don't let any limiting beliefs get in the way of you and the call on your life. Hey guys, if you've considered starting a podcast, but you're overwhelmed by how to actually launch, I've created a basics of podcasting course over on Skillshare. So you can sign up for my course and get 2 months of free premium membership. Skillshare is where I learn all types of skills that I don't know how to do otherwise. I'll include the link in the show notes. You can head over to Skillshare and search Brandi Voth's class, The Basics of Podcasting. For someone that has made poor choices in life, they've chosen the wrong relationships, they have not shown up for their kids, they haven't shown up for others, and they're just in a place at this point where they feel like, I've done all the wrong things, I've gone down all the wrong paths, and I'm at this point now where I don't want this life to be wasted. At this point, I want to step into purpose, but I have such a heavy weight of my past hanging over my head. How do I overcome the limiting beliefs that because I've always screwed up in the past, I'm going to continue screwing up in the future? Ashton, we are going to have you take that.
Perfect. I know this one. Pick me. Forgiveness, self-forgiveness, right? I think something that I caught on to, like when I decided to get rebaptized, because I was raised Catholic, and about, I think 6 years ago now, I got rebaptized. And I think something that I recognized in that moment was that Jesus wasn't just doing it for us, that he was modeling for us what we got to do for ourselves. Like, it really internalized that forgiveness wasn't just something, and grace wasn't just something that we got to receive from God and from Jesus, right? It was something that was literally, like, as a master teacher, modeled for us to be able to give not just to ourselves, but to others. So self-forgiveness and self-acceptance is imperative to move forward. You cannot go forward unless you actually look at those things as a gift, right? So it's the perspective of looking at the value in the struggle and really mining and sifting out every failure for gold. Like, what was the lesson in that? And then leveraging that lesson and using it for the greater good. But in addition to that self-acceptance and leverage of the lessons, it's like you have to truly forgive yourself. And you do that by holding a compassionate, observer perspective. You do that by truly viewing that you were doing the best that you could with what you had. As Demi said, you probably had some trauma, or you probably, had dealt with some conditioning from your childhood or the way that you were raised or just what you had gone through in relationships. So if you really zoom out, like, I guarantee that you can probably hold a little bit of compassion for yourself, because if it was your best friend in that position, you would, right? You would be able to see all the other things behind the scenes that were going on that pushed you into those mistakes. So I think showing up for yourself the way you would your own best friend, and really just practicing forgiveness and asking Jesus for help with that, because he knows how.
Awesome. I love that answer. And I love that you were like, I got this. Let me just tell you. And that's how God works. He uses all of us and our stories to speak to others, and our experiences to be able to learn from, in order to impart his wisdom with those who have questions. Any of the panelists, if you have any questions that you've encountered that you would like to either answer yourself or present to the panel for anyone else to answer, feel free to do that. If anyone has a question about that their audience has raised about limiting beliefs.
Piggy bank. We can piggy bank too. That's fun. back off of what Ashton had just said in regards to that concept of self-forgiveness, but to answer your question in a methodology for how we can move forward and how that person who is stuck in that space can accept their purpose. And my therapist had given me the analogy of us carrying bricks. And oftentimes we're carrying bricks that are not only our own brick that we're carrying that's so heavy is like way far on the bottom. And then mistakes or failure points or other people's bricks that we're carrying because we feel now burdened to, because we want to make everything else better for those people. We end up carrying around so many bricks that the first step that Ashton mentioned was submission. And part of submission and submitting is letting all of those bricks down at the feet of Jesus and having open palms for the gift that he has for you. And you can't exchange, if God was to hand you like a beautiful Tiffany's box, right? And I'm not even a jewelry person, but I just can imagine that teal blue because it's my favorite, like the ocean. If he was to hand that to you and yet you had 20 bricks in your hands, where's that gift going? How are you going to open it and see what's inside? How are you going to activate it if it's an actual tool that needs to be used, if you don't have open palms to receive it? And so for you to make this great exchange and to lay that at the feet of Jesus, you can write on those bricks, you can paint on them. I literally tangibly gave bricks to my parents. Imagine that. That's a heavy. Here, you can have that back. I don't want this, but it was the most healing thing for both them and for me because they didn't even realize that they had handed it to me in the first place. And so I would just encourage you to realize that the things that you're carrying, they're more than just your past, but they're inhibiting you from that gift and that future that he has for you.
Okay, so we are going to move to the next, which is I find myself surrounded by people with limiting beliefs, and I don't know people in my life that push me or encourage me. So how do I create this life that I don't see around me?
Yes, I will take that one because let me tell you, I had to really cut out some toxic, negative people in my life to move forward. And you might have to just adjust your circle to be a little bit smaller because it's all about the quality and not the quantity. And your vibe attracts your tribe. So just like in my group, it's very, very evident of my faith. I take them through Bible studies. I do Bible verses. And if they're not attracted to that, they're going to be repelled by it, right? And so then you don't need those. So I encourage you, if you have people in your life that are the naysayers, and that contribute to a negative self-talk or a limiting belief, is to please cut them out of your life because God does not bring them to you to pull you down. So where do you find the people to raise you up? You're going to find that Christian community, and you might have to look for it, but it's there. And I encourage you to go search for that, but to cut out the toxicity in your life because you cannot grow when something is pulling you down in the pit.
That is so good. And I see Demi nodding her head. I'm going to let her chime in on this because I know she's got something to say.
No, I mean, I think Miss Alice just said exactly what I always say. And like, your vibe will absolutely attract your tribe. What I know about Jesus is that his word says that there are people who are assigned to your life. And let me tell you, that was just such an area that I really struggled with because it's the familiar faces. It's the family, those people that, unfortunately, those may be the people that are throwing the darts, or those are the people who are not supporting you or encouraging you. But you cannot be afraid to release yourself from those relationships. You know what I mean? again, it's about seeking foreign spaces. It's going to feel very uncomfortable for you. And fear is going to be on your back. But what I know about the word is that it says that he has not given you the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. And so you've got to learn in this space to embrace the new doors, the new opportunities, and the new relationships that God has for you in this season of your life. So I think this is an exciting time. God's cutting away, and that's something to celebrate. That's something to get excited about. There are new people who are on the way, and you have the ability to attract those people. But one of the things I don't know who answered that question, but I just really want to encourage you to get out of self and give yourself permission to be free and to be released.
Oh, it's good. It's good. And the whole reason that I wanted to do this event tonight, I have a book that came out today. We launched the book, The Power Project, A Journey of Purpose. And I wanted so desperately to share with others what this journey looks like, what stepping into the call looks like. And in the book, I talk about part of this personal development, part of this spiritual growth in this journey is surrounding yourself with others that are going to hold you accountable. And by that saying, you're not being the best version of yourself, but I'm going to push you to be the best version of yourself. And surrounding yourself with others that dream big dreams and chase big goals and expect you to do the same. Surround yourself with others that say, you're running really hard and you're climbing that mountain real fast. And you know what? I'm going to put my boots on. I'm going to grab your arm and I'm going to run with you and I'm going to climb that mountain. And so I so desperately want anyone at home that is listening and watching to know that if you don't see the people around you that are chasing big, audacious goals, that are answering God's call, that are saying, I'm held to a higher purpose, go find them. I didn't know one single person on this panel 2 years ago. I didn't know any of them before I started this purpose journey, but I specifically align myself with these women. They have been mentors to me. They've been friends to me. Like I see them doing their thing and I'm like, yes, let's get it. Let's go for the greater cause. Let's keep building on this in this kingdom mindset that we are all striving for. So just because you don't see it in front of you doesn't mean that you can't create it around you.
Hey guys, it's Maddie, Brandi's assistant. I wanted to tell you about the newest venture of the Power Project. Have you heard about the Power Hat Co? While teaching business to traffic survivors, Brandi realized the need for gainful employment that would attach mentees to purpose and provide entrepreneurial mentorship along the way. Combine that with her love of hats and the Power Hat Co was born. You're going to love these beautifully custom crafted hats. The Ambassador Collection is available for pre-sale now. These structured felt hats are wrapped with a hand-woven ikat bandana, topped with a custom feather, and have a leather band with your power word of choice that has been hand-stamped by traffic survivors in an aftercare facility. With an ambassador hat, you not only have a uniquely crafted symbol of power right on your head, but you can also wear it confidently knowing that each purchase supports the fight against human trafficking. Check out these hats with a powerful purpose at thepowerhatco.com.
All right, so I am ready to move past limiting beliefs. I have identified what they are. I feel called to a greater call, but I don't know what on earth I'm put on this earth for. What do I do next? All right, we had a tie between Tamra and Alice. I'm going to let Tamra take it. Alice, follow up. We can all answer it if you want, because I think we may have all been there at one time or another. So we'll begin with Tamra.
So my biggest piece of advice is that clarity comes in action. And we so often find ourselves in this space. I was there. I know people on this call who have been there. And you're like, I have all of these thoughts. I have all of these ideas, or perhaps I have no idea. And I know God says I'm made for more. And yet, what's the next step? The next step is moving the needle this much today. And what does that look like? It could be today you unpack your passions and you unpack your gifts. One exercise I put my coaching girls through is to go ask your people. Go ask people that are surrounding you, what do you come to me for? And you can script it so that maybe it's your top 10 giftings. Or do you come to me for encouragement? Do you come to me for advice? Do you come to me for a listening ear? Do you come to me so that I can teach you something? There's so many gifts that are full array. Maybe they come to you for support or, there's so many things. Understand that and have them feed you with the information. Not only will it be a words of affirmation in a love language that might just stroke your ego a little bit, but it's going to help you understand who God created you to be. Because sometimes we are getting in the way of who he already has called us to be. We're looking at the mirror. We're not looking beyond the mirror to what he's already imprinted us with. So understand your passions, unpack your gifts, and ultimately just one thing at a time. You can't do the massive vision. I know that all these girls on here are passionistas. They are ready to take on the globe. And I love that. But we can't do that for Jesus even by his full-on might in the bite of one piece of that elephant, right? It's one day at a time. It's one piece of the elephant at a time. You can't eat the whole thing. All right? I'm rooting for you. Alice, take it away, girl.
You're so good. I don't need to take anything else away except that this is a real thing, especially in the season of life that most of my audience is in. And I will tell you that the world is very noisy, okay? And until we be still, can we not hear what God is telling us? And I really had to learn that for myself. I had the power struggle of my own will. And until I released it and gave it to God and said, I'm yours, because my calling is to be a servant for you. And it's my calling is to impact the lives that, to call more women to you. And I feel that until we are really still and until we are quiet and until we dive into the word, do we not understand truly what our calling and mission is that he has for us, because we all have unique talents and skills. And I can tell you, I just stumbled upon this journey through network marketing. And I don't do that now, but I had to go on that journey to get me to the point of growth that I'm at now. So he gives us things, but we have to be still in order to listen to what he's given us. And the last thing that I want to leave all your audience with, Brandi, is, there are no limits that you can achieve with your life except the limits that you accept in your own mind, right? It's those thoughts that we tell ourselves. So there is nothing that we cannot achieve except the limits that you place on yourself.
That is a good word, my friend. Good word. Demi, you are up next with the answer to what do you do when you don't have a clue what it is you're supposed to do? What's the next step?
Well, I think these ladies have really, said a lot of good insight, just good wisdom here. But what I want to say is we get excited about purpose, and I think that we expect that purpose is going to show up in this beautifully packaged, box, this beautiful gift. But what I've had to learn from my own self is that purpose showed up for me when I didn't expect it. And you also have to know what season you're in. Because as God is moving you through the space of purpose discovery, there are many phases and there are different seasons that he's going to take you in as he continues to shape and define, equip, and prepare you and develop you so that you're able to really walk in the very fullness of who he's calling you to be and who he's, attracting to you in terms of your audience and what it is, whatever he's calling you to do. But I just want you to know that purpose takes time. And I've also realized that I was sold a lie by the enemy that said that I had to be healed and whole in order to pursue my purpose, and that I had to be perfect. And that's a lie of the enemy. And what I found is that in the space of all of my frustration and feeling like I wasn't good enough and feeling that, I wasn't worthy, was really in the space of where God really started showing up for me and developing purpose. So just take your time and allow God to speak, be open to what he's saying, even if it's uncomfortable, and really embrace this journey and get excited. This is such a great time. I'm such a powerful believer on journaling. This is such a great time to start journaling as you're in this space of purpose discovery. Such a beautiful time.
So good.
Because God is definitely speaking.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And it's a journey. It's an ever evolving journey. If you've heard it once in this conversation, you've heard it a million times, commit that. We are following up with Ashton now on wrapping this conversation up.
Okay, so this might be controversial, what I'm about to say, but it's something that has helped me. And it's just a different perspective. And it's the idea that maybe purpose is just who you are, that it's not about what you do, that it's who you be, right? So that's why it's kind of that it's shape-shifting, like you were kind of saying to me, because through at different times we have different calls. And we have to step into a different way of expressing those gifts or expressing our strengths or whatever. But I think something that the reason I latched onto that is because I fell in the trap of trying to earn my worth, I fell in the trap of feeling worthy through my purpose. And that's not the point of it, right? It's not to find your purpose so you finally feel enough. It's to recognize that you already are enough and then to go live that. So I don't know if that makes sense, but it did help me to just recognize I didn't have to go do anything. I just needed to be. God said that he would know that you are mine because of how you love people. So it's not necessarily the vehicle. It's not necessarily the book or the coaching practice or the network marketing as much as just how you're showing up day in and day out based on who you were designed to be. So that's the way I've internalized purpose for myself, at least.
I don't think that it's controversial at all. And I think every single person here would back you up on that. And I was trying to pull up the scripture to make sure that I didn't get it wrong. But I believe it's 1 Corinthians 12:13, where we talk about spiritual gifts and all the different spiritual gifts you're given, whether it be to encourage or to teach or to prophesy, whatever it is. And then it goes on to say, the Bible goes on to say that all of these are gifts that we're given, but our purpose, our true reason that we're here is to love. And to be loved, just like you guys are all saying. And if we are the greatest speaker in the world, but we're not loving those around us well, then we're not doing anything other than stroking our ego. And if we're showing up in these events and we're saying, look, we're speaking and we're sharing with you and we're pouring into you, but we're not truly loving those that are tuning in, then we're not serving that purpose. And you are 100% correct. I tell people this on a regular basis and when I sit with someone that tells me I have no idea what my purpose is, I don't know what my gifts are, I don't know what my skills are, I point them back that it's how do we love others? How do we love ourselves? How do we love our community? And how do we demonstrate God's love both horizontally and vertically? Because that's it. That's the whole goal of all of this. I hope that you guys enjoyed this conversation today and this event that was assembled with these panelists. I want you to really take note of how beautiful it is to have someone in your corner that believes in you. And if you're looking for people to be in your corner to believe in you, these panelists of mine are great people to follow. You can follow them on social media. You can hop over into our private Facebook group, the Power Squad on Facebook, and you'll find an entire community of women that are wanting to lift each other up and inspire each other. Also, you need to get your hands on the Power Project book so that you can start your own purpose journey. You want to head over to thepowerprojectbook.com and order yours today. As always, I cannot wait to chat with you next week. But until then, go out and live your best purpose-filled lives.